Good evening from Painesville and welcome to LNTV News Live, 30 minutes of news from Liberia and other parts of the world. My name is Jab Davis and stories we're following on this edition of the program. President George Weah seek joint resolution from the legislature to extend the date for the 2020 senatorial election. Liberian Information and Justice Ministers recover from COVID-19 after weeks of treatment at the 14 military hospital. Police arrest acting Council of Patriots leader Monipeke Dimor following search and seizure at his residence in Monrovia. And away from Liberia, violent protests have erupted in West Mali after a police officer shot dead a youth in the area. These stories plus more are all coming up on this edition of the program. Keep tuned. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the program. Police have arrested a leader of the pressure group Council of Patriots after he appeared to have made threatening statements on social media recently. Monipeke Dimor's arrest followed a search and seizure filed by Moserado County Attorney Edwin Martin and issued by the Monrovia City Court. Speaking to this station Tuesday, Councillor Martin said during this health emergency, any statement that has security implications requires criminal investigation.
The search and seizure were pretty for the police wanted to do economic search and the seizure of all those items that were mentioned. And we have not gotten any information from the police. My office has not had any information from the police because the police is still continuing its preliminary investigation into the matter. In this time of our national crisis, and this crisis is not only limited to Liberia, it's a worldwide epidemic that we have to fight collectively. And if the government of Liberia, through its own humanitarian means, is trying to make some effort to reach out to less fortunate Liberia by the means of making some full provision, and you have other Liberians making threatening statements against the security of the state, that should claim the attention of everybody, and not only the government alone. We cannot be fighting COVID-19 and people be making insinuations that threaten the peace of this country. We as officials of this government, we will do everything within our reach to make sure that there is perfect sanity when it comes to peace in Liberia. And anybody who makes statements that will be inimical to the peace of this country, you have to come and answer questions as to why those statements were made, and we'll go further to investigate. But for one to make such a statement, there should be some hidden hand, some agenda. When somebody come on in the public space and say we'll bring in AK-47, it should not be looked at lightly. We all know the dangerous power of AK-47 in this country, and we all know the effect and the impact AK-47 had on the country for the past 14 years. So we are concerned about people making those kind of threats against the state, and you make those kind of threats, you're not only panicking the government, but you are panicking other people who already been traumatized by the spread of the COVID-19. So we as a government, and in my capacity as Council Anthony, we have to ensure that the public space is protected from people making statements that we escalate into continuous fear of our people.
President George Weah has written the legislature seeking an extension in the timetable for the holding of the 2020 senatorial election. The Liberian leader wants lawmakers consider a joint resolution to push the elections from October 13, 2020 to December 15, 2020. Sefer Jipley is a chief clerk of the House of Representatives. He read the president's communication in plenary on Tuesday.
Dear Mr. Speaker, as you may be aware, the National Elections Commission, in keeping with Article 83A of the Constitution of Liberia, developed a timeline and budget for the 2020 senatorial elections. and announced that the elections along with the referendum will be held on October 13, 2020, the second Tuesday of October 2020, the elections year. However, we are being informed by the National Elections Commission that it is not feasible to conduct the 2020 special senatorial elections as per the Constitution, second Tuesday in October of the election year, or October 13, 2020. This is because major preparatory activities such as the voter registration update, VRU, international procurement for the VRU, recruitment and training of thousands of temporary staff, which should be completed within a certain time frame, are yet to commence due to the arrival of the deadly COVID-19 disease and its effect on everyday life. For example,
Meanwhile, President George Weah has also conveyed to the legislature critical issues regarding the preparation of the fiscal budget for 2020-2021. Here again is Chief Clerk Sifwa Chipley.
dear Mr. Speaker, I present my compliments and take this opportunity to convey to the National Legislature, through your honorable office, critical issues regarding the state of preparation of our national budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. The formulation of this national budget has been exceptionally constrained. The Liberian economy has been confronted by increasing exogenous and endogenous challenges. These challenges have caused growth to decline steadily over the past few years. We have also begun to feel the impacts of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic due to the increasing expenditure demands. Honorable Speaker, Liberia faces several constraints due to the COVID-19 pandemic, decline in the global commodity prices, and the forthcoming senatorial elections. The government, however, remains committed to addressing these challenges through appropriate and effective policy interventions. In view of the above, we are challenged with a few realistic options if we must avert a budget shortfall in the next fiscal year, which include to significantly cut back on recurring costs and investment expenditure, and to increase the revenue envelope through additional taxation. In the view of the executive, based on the situation obtaining, none of these is advisable. Reducing expenditure will hinder the post-COVID-19 recovery initiative, as well as start ongoing projects. Increasing taxes in an already flourishing economy will have longer-term consequences for growth. Thus, we are left with exploring options outside of our own fiscal space, such as mobilizing additional external resources to support our recovery and development efforts.
Now, the Ministers of Information and Justice have been discharged from the 14 military hospital after receiving treatment for COVID-19. Ministers Eugene Nangwe and Musa Dean were in April tested positive of COVID-19 after attending a high-level joint security meeting from where another government official died and tested positive of the virus. Liberia's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Francis Kete, told ELBC that Ministers Nangwe and Dean, along with others discharged recently, tested negative of the COVID-19.
Yes, indeed. The Minister of Information was released, was discharged yesterday, and the Justice Minister has been discharged today, and including other Liberians. And so, as it stands, from the 14 military hospital, more than 100 persons have now become survivors from COVID. And I think this is something that we need to congratulate our government health workers that are working tirelessly, especially on this day, World Nurses Day, to say a big thank you to all of the nurses out there for their commitment, sacrifice, and dedication to service.
I'd like to know whether the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Information, did they test negative twice as per the protocol?
Yes, definitely. You cannot be discharged from the treatment facility if you haven't been tested negative twice. So it's predicated on that they were discharged.
The Liberian government has placed serious emphasis on agriculture to help reduce food insecurity in the country, but the sector's major challenge for local Liberian farmers has been access to finance from banks and other financial institutions to enhance their production. As Joseph Sayon reports, local Liberian farmers are finding innovative ways for food production.
Many of the farmers in Liberia during the 14 years of civil conflict migrated from one point to another. As a result, many farmers has now ended up in doing different businesses in urban areas in the country. But some Liberians have realized that farming is the way forward. Farming is the way that now take every country to the higher height. This is the Masakwa Bwaka farm. This farm is controlled by a young Liberian who has been involved into agricultural activities, the production of rice, the production of corn, the production of cabbage, and other vegetables. This farm is contributing to the food security of our country. Rice mill has also been installed to facilitate the cleaning of harvested rice from the farm. The chief executive officer of the farm, Bwaka Masakwe, decried the lack of financial support to expand and increase production.
I really need for the government to pay attention to what I'm doing. Let the government look up to me. Let it come and see. I need the government to help me come and see what I'm doing here. At least let it support me. Now they're not supporting me at all. Only I alone doing this one. I challenge anybody. Let it just give me something and see what I will do with it.
Bwaka Masakwe's farm is also breeding cattle for the Liberian market. The chief executive officer of the Jacob Thurman Enterprise Center in Lofa County is providing business consultancy to the Bwaka Masakwe farm in an attempt to improve productivity on the farm.
I want to see our Liberian farmers working together as a group to achieve one goal, which is making Liberia food sufficient, and not only doing farming to part, which is sustainable farming, but also doing commercialized farming, farming as a business that will enhance them to make their group to go on within the following years, that other members within the group will be able to send their children to school, to see farming itself as a business like other people have their shops, their marketplaces that they go to. They should also see agriculture as a business of such kind.
The farm also has a manager.
My role is to make sure that to manage the human resources that are working here, to manage the amount that is provided for investment, that we use the finances, we use it properly, and make sure that everything is set in place. Time as well, when do we plant what and when do we harvest what. This is my role.
Bwaka Masakwe's farm is also creating job opportunity for dozens of local community dwellers, mainly youth and women. Joseph Sayon, LNTV News, Morovia.
Many thanks to Joseph Sayon for that report. And if you just join us, a reminder that you're watching LNTV live here on LNTV. We come to you from outside the nation's capital, Monrovia, that is in Painesville. My name is Jab Davis, and stories we're following on this edition of the program. President George Weah seeks joint resolution from the legislature to extend the date for the 2020 senatorial election. Liberian Information and Justice Ministers recover from COVID-19 after weeks of treatment at the 14th Military Hospital. Police arrest acting Council of Patriots leader Monipeka Dimore following search and seizure at his residence in Monrovia. And away from Liberia, violent protests have erupted in western Mali after a police officer shot dead a youth in the area. Most stories are still ahead of this edition of the program. Keep tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. The National Christian Task Force of Liberia wants government invest in the acquisition of more coronavirus test kits in the country. The National Director of the Christian Task Force, David Benito, believes conducting more tests is the surest way to stop the spread of COVID-19. His recommendation was contained in a statement released Tuesday by the National Christian Task Force on the prevailing health situation in the country.
Talking about COVID-19, we want to thank the President of Liberia for the leadership he has provided in the fight against this invisible enemy. Thank you, sir, for being on the front lines of awareness and the search for possible treatments. We also thank our health professionals, our security forces, the Fourth Estate, and the general public for our successes so far in the fight against coronavirus. Interestingly, almost all of the reported COVID-19 deaths in Liberia are of people who died prior to their test results coming forth. On the other hand, no one who has been tested positive and taken to a treatment site has died. Bravo to our treatment regimen. Again, thanks to the teams for the excellent work being done. This means that the soonest we test people, the likeliest they will survive. Therefore, we need to decentralize and direct more resources to testing. Senegal has reportedly invented effective test kits that cost just $1 each. Let's cash in on our recent strong tie with Senegal and acquire as many test kits as they can sell to us. This will save lives down the road.
At the same time, Pastor Benito has called on Christian leaders to show more dedication to the service of God.
COVID-19 has uncovered some weaknesses in the body of Christ in Liberia and the world at large. We, the church, have realized that generally the focus of the pre-COVID-19 church have drifted from Jesus Christ and his kingdom on earth to mammon and materialism. We, the church, have been more concerned about us and our individual ministries than about Jesus and his body, the church. We, that is the church, had been competing and fighting for crowds on earth, not caring about crowns in heaven. We, that is the church, had turned the church into a supermarket where people come to pay for miracles, prophecies, and messages that will make them feel good. We worried more about people's satisfaction than about their salvation. Therefore, we, the church, preached more about prosperity and less, and in some places not at all, about sin and the need to repent of sin.
The Liberia Business Association says the closure of certain businesses under the guise of non-essential is creating hardship for owners of those businesses. Addressing a news conference in Painesville on Tuesday, the president of the Business Association, James Strutter, appealed to government to allow all Liberian businesses reopen while observing the 3 p.m. lockdown period.
Appealing to the government to please allow non and essential businesses to open. We want to assure him that we can follow the regulation of the MPhil and the health ministry to make sure that people protect themselves while they go to business. But what it's doing for us right now is that our businesses been closed for the past 4 weeks, and we are heading for the next 6 weeks. Businesses did not plan to close down. Some businesses have perishable goods. Some businesses have goods that get molded if the business is not open, and that brings in damages to the businesses. So looking at our economic situation right now, which of course we do not have insurance policy to pay for damaged goods, what's going to happen to our people after things subside? It's going to be a huge losses that nobody will be able to pay. But looking at what is obtaining now, the distances that we are going right now, government is not replacing anything to say that government is going to provide something for people to survive. The livelihood of our people becoming to be a question on the table. So we are saying, since we got 3 hours or 4 hours maximum to operate, let the businesses open, to be able to sell little things, to be able to sustain themselves and be able to move on. Because we may go more than 6 weeks, we may go more than 7 months. So what will be happening if there is no means, because there is, government do not have it. Realistically, let's look at it. Our country do not have a budget.
Are you calling on government to open all the businesses?
Yes, we are calling government to open all our businesses and will fall within the regulatory period.
Meanwhile, Mr. Strutter wants government to always allow the business association to form part of decisions relating to the business community.
The decisions made to where we are right now, it was not done by the business community. The government did not work with us as a business community, because the two representation of the business community is LIBA and CHIMA. And I believe that what took place, it was done by the government, but not by the representation of the people. So right now we are finding it difficult to be able to maintain or put control into the system, because every day is a pool of people coming to Warsaw. Okay, we are closed, so how do we survive? And again, we cannot tell the government, no, you have to make this available. Government has its own lines and when and how to do what it can do. But we are looking at it. Thank God that the coronavirus situation in our country, Liberians themselves have taken the responsibility to protect themselves, to make sure, listen to what the government or what the Ministry of Health has said, to live by the rules. So we are also providing masks for our people to be able to protect themselves. But what we are appealing now, because before the government knocked down, we were already in the measure, telling our business houses to put their buckets, to make sure before you engage people, put your mask on your face, because the spirit of that person, if the person is the carrier of the virus, talking to them openly could harm you. So we're also in that move. But again, we appreciate the government to knock down, but we are also saying that we can also manage within the 3 o'clock period. Let us be able to go, because where it reaching, nobody thought that it could go more than 2 weeks.
Well, Liberian judicial authorities are taking concrete steps to reduce overcrowding at prisons across the country amidst the coronavirus pandemic. One of such key moves by the judiciary is a plan to revamp the magistrate sitting program intended to decongest prison centers. The disclosure was made Monday by Chief Justice Francis Copper during the opening of the May term of court at the Temple of Justice in Monrovia.
It's important that all of us in Liberia, whether you're a citizen, you're a resident, we all play a meaningful role in trying to see to it that the virus is eradicated. Because if there is no one here as a consequence of the virus, there will be no court, there will be no legislature, there will be no executive branch of government. Everyone will be affected. And so those of us, those of you, judges, lawyers, whom I consider upper class men and women, should play the meaningful role, and that is serve as advocates for the prevention of what we have today at hand. We must all work together to do so. When I leave here today, I'll call the magistrate in charge of the Senate court to come to me so that we can reinvigorate the magistrate sitting program at the Monrovia Central Prison. This is important in order to decongest the population of the prison. And you need not ask me why. If one person, is found among the prisoners or the inmates at the Monrovia Central Prison, the result will be catastrophic.
Well, speaking on behalf of the Circuit Court judges, Criminal Court A Judge Roosevelt Willie outlined new approaches adopted for court proceedings amidst the COVID-19 health emergency.
All courts in the Republic of Liberia are ordered and mandated to reduce activities to a bare minimum within their respective jurisdictions. Cases before the Supreme Court will be minimally assigned so that no more than 4 counselors will be available to the presentation of arguments before the court. The court will concentrate more at this time on writing opinions in cases already heard and only urgent high-profile cases of national concern and cases growing out of allegations of violations of rights under this state of emergency will be prioritized. 2. Circuit and special courts are to give preference at this time primarily to petitions for the writ of habeas corpus and to other matters of alleged violations of the fundamental rights of citizens and residents growing out of this state of emergency. No more than 2 cases are to be assigned per day for hearing. 1 case in the morning.
Now away from Liberia, violent protests have erupted in the city of Kayes in western Mali after an off-duty police officer shot dead a youth in the area. Overnight, angry youth then attacked a police station and seized weapons. Protests have continued throughout Tuesday, and there are unconfirmed reports that at least 10 people have been killed. A senior official from the police force have apologized for the killing of the man and said the officer had been arrested. On that note, that's how we end this edition of the program LNTV Live here on LNTV. But before we leave, a recap of the major stories. As President George Weah seeks joint resolution from the legislature to extend the date for the 2020 senatorial election. Liberian Information and Justice Ministers recover from COVID-19 after weeks of treatment at the 14th Military Hospital. Police arrest acting Council of Patriots leader Manipeke Dumore following search and seizure at his residence in Monrovia. And away from Liberia, violent protests have erupted in western Mali after a police officer shot dead a youth in the area. Join us tomorrow at 10 in the morning for another edition of the program. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Liberia National Television, I've been Jab Davis, your anchor on this edition of the program. Bye-bye for now.